Hello, hello, hello. It's Wednesday, and this week I'm here to talk with you about, excuse me, clear my throat, refocusing. Let's refocus. Man, January has really been something. I don't know about you, but there were a lot of things. First of all, January was both flew by and also seemed like it took about 10 years. There was so much going on. I'm going to make sure that I'm actually connected to YouTube and then I will proceed. If I could have your patience for just a second. Okay, I'm live. I'm live. So, welcome and thank you so much for joining. I am going to be talking about, as I said, checking in with you as my online accountability buddies, talking about our January results from the goals that we set for 2025. Many of you all know that I started off January doing an episode called The Long Game, really looking at like what was the role of legacy and vision and vantage point in order to select things to do that were going to be high impact but low stress, not doing all the things, but doing the things that have the most impact. So, thank you for coming back. This week, many of us have not been as focused as we wanted to be on our goals. And I thought this was like a really great topic to be able to sit with you and go through the process that I do every month and share with you some of the tips and results that I have gotten, and also share with you some of the places where I really have not been happy with my results and where I may have achieved results, but I achieved results in a way that has not been sustainable. So, before we get into it, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Crystal Harris. I am newly retired, and let me take this banner off. I am newly retired from teaching in the south suburbs of Illinois. I'm a social psychologist by training. I've been planning to start a YouTube channel for a couple of years. If you look at my first videos, I think the first one is like 2 years ago. But for the last, I would say 8 weeks now, I've been very consistent. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about when I talk about celebrating wins. So my channel is really for people who are at a stage in their career where either they've been over this hump or they feel like they're in a hump. They feel like things are stagnating. They're not happy with where they are. They don't feel like they're going to end up where they hope to end up if they continue on this path. And so therefore, looking for career advice or inspiration or resources to really help you push through that point is what this channel is about. So if you are looking to be part of a vibrant community of people who are leaders, people who want to have high impact in their career, and that might be in your business, it may be in your transition for retirement. So that's what this channel is about. If that's something that resonates with you, please subscribe to the channel. Also, please consider sharing it with a friend. Perhaps you know someone. And even if you're not even near retirement age, I mean, I think that one of the things that I did not do early enough was start thinking about how do I work on things that are going to really help me with my legacy when I leave here. I feel like, so I taught for 18 years in one institution. And before that, was involved in teaching at the institution where I got my doctoral degree. And I feel like I didn't really get the memo until late in my career. What does it mean to be creating a legacy that can sustain what I call the long game? There's a book called The Long Game. So some principles from that I've covered in a previous video. So today I really want to go through what is going to be in my plan for the upcoming month based on kind of like this theme of refocusing. So let me first of all tell you, for me, January historically has been a period of a lot of blues. And by blues, I mean in the past, depression, anxiety, feeling overwhelmed. These are just things because of things that were going on in my job and what has to happen in January in order to launch a new set of courses, bring in a new set of students, the barrage of meetings, phone calls, incomplete students who didn't complete their fall work, incomplete grades have to be done. There was just all this stuff that had to be done in January. So that, in addition to being a mom, a person who, was involved in her community, it just felt like January, all the things came to a head. There were things that maybe people gladly put aside to take a break also, I think, in December. So some of the January blues come from that too. So January 2025 was its special hell in that even though I was retired in Georgia and looking at snow, not once, but twice. There was snow in Georgia. Now they didn't have real snow compared to Chicago, if I'm completely honest, but the snow, the craziness of having Martin Luther King weekend and the inauguration of our current president was something that was hard for me to wrap my head around. I'll be very honest with you. I come from a family, so my family roots are from Montgomery, Alabama. And so my family has been very much a part of the history of civil rights in a very real, present, storied way. And so that honoring of him has always been something that's really, really important, not just to me, but to my family and where I'm from. So that was like its whole thing. So that whole weekend, I was sort of like a little bit sideways. In addition to that, speaking of Martin Luther King's birthday weekend and the acknowledgement of him and the civil rights era and the people who gave so much for us to have the rights that they did, juxtaposed with some of the early executive orders that went out to basically attempt to cancel via executive order some of the work that had been done in prior administrations, like Lyndon B. Johnson's 1965 executive order. So, I mean, fortunately, there are laws in place where, I mean, although it's potentially damaging, it's not the death knell that, we need to cry wolf over. But I want to say that because even though this is not a channel, I mean, this is really more of a career-oriented channel, although we also try to embed as much wellness, because in order to be successful in your career, to thrive in your career, you've got to be on your A game when it comes to your mental health and your physical health and also your spiritual health. And I think one of the ways we do that, as I've shared before, is talking about your why. What is your why? How do you stay in character? I mean, if anything that's happened since the inauguration, I'll be honest with you, for me, is it showing me more than ever, and this is just my personal belief, and I don't know that, maybe, you guys will get to tell me I'm wrong one day, but one of the things I will say is that I think that there will never be another time in American history, in our lifetime, where real leaders and people of integrity are going to shine. Because there's so little courage, so little integrity, this is a time to be a leader who stands for integrity and truth. So anyway, that's a whole nother episode. So because of that, I feel like for many people, just what we call the doom scrolling or watching YouTube or just the news or whatever it was that you were doing, there were so many times that you were like about your game, on it, trying to do what you needed to do. And then the next thing you turned around, and boom, another bad news. Boom, another bad news. Boom, another crazy news. So it was easy to get off track, I think, in January, a bit more for me than it has been in the past, and especially as someone who's quasi semi-retired. So I did do my month-end review before this episode so that I could kind of share with you the results. I thought that was important, but I want to take you kind of step by step through the process. So one of the first things that I do is I look at sort of like the environment and the issues that I had to overcome and I set the context, and I sort of write those down. And so I actually just shared this. So there are 4 things, and I just shared them with you. I'm not going to repeat them. So I also look at what are some things that really were wins and highlights in the month of January. And so what I want to share with you. So first of all, I'm in Chicago. I'm excited to be in Chicago. I'm house sitting. I'm back in a house that I've sat for before with Ophelia the cat. Ophelia is sleeping behind me. I don't know if you can see her. If I move that little black spot right there, that's her sleeping. So I like to use basically a printed notebook. And if you can see, I usually highlight the things that I'm almost done or I'm close to accomplishing. And then I put checks by them if I actually accomplish them. And if you notice, there are several things that are not checked here. The other thing that I do is I go through the monthly calendar because I often start out the month setting aside time to do things. And then I go back and I look to see and check them off as I do them. Now, what I am proud of is pretty much everything that I scheduled to do. Now, this isn't my whole life, but it's like the things that I say, well, I want to make sure I block off time to do. So one of the things that's on here is every Tuesday is prepping for my live stream on YouTube, and on every Wednesday doing the live stream. Historically, I have said I was going to live stream on Wednesdays, and often it was on Thursday, it was on Friday, it might be on Wednesday, it might not be at all. So for me, that was a win. I mean, I basically have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there was only 4 Wednesdays. 4 Wednesdays. And I mean, I actually am on my 8th consecutive week. But the first month, the December months, they're not on Wednesdays. So I'm really proud of the fact so to me, that is one of the wins. The other thing is I had other business goals. There were 4 of them, and I completed 3 of the 4 business goals. Super proud of that. I also set aside time to do time and money to invest in professional development. And so I participated in 3 different events. One of which you heard me talk about was the video editing challenge, which really assisted me in putting together strategies, or workflows is probably the right word. Workflows, a system to make sure that I can from idea to post, I can actually pump out a video short, not a live stream, but a short, within usually under 2 hours. I also learned to batch create. I mean, I kind of knew like what to do to batch create. I just didn't use that skill very often. So I also batch created some things. And so that was another thing that I learned like a long time ago, but never implemented. So I showed you my calendar, and then I have weekly calendars where I kind of do the same thing. At the end of the week, sort of like Thursday, I look at what I haven't done. I highlight it. I either move it to the next week, or I say, okay, Friday, I'm going to knock this out. So that's sort of the way that that one. So what I'd like for you to do, if you're watching live, please say hello in the comments. Thank you so much for coming. But I also would love it if you would tell me what was one of the wins that you had for January. When have you done your month-end check-in? Or are you really waiting until the month is over? If you're waiting until Saturday to do your end of month check-in, that's a valid excuse. But I want you to just think about and share one of the things you're most proud of for Wednesday. So let's see who's in the comments. Okay, not all the things. Let's see. Is here. January can be a real busy up and down month when you are an educator in general. Absolutely. Yes, definitely. This year was crazier than ever. Absolutely. Amen. 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 That's an absolute win. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and thank you for joining me with that. So what I want to do next is talk about some of the trends. So I have 3 questions. If you read the description of this video, I said we were going to focus on, kind of what's the process for doing the end of month check-in. And for me, the end of month check-in analysis point was that I needed to refocus on a few things. And so I'm kind of telling you ahead of time what is the answer and the cliff note for this particular episode. So one thing I do is I look for trends. So between the wins and the opportunities and challenges, what were some things that I noticed as trends? So one thing I want to tell you that I noticed is that I had insomnia probably 7 or 8 nights out of the month of January, and January is not over. And I'm actually still having insomnia. So I go to bed, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. I wake up at 1 or 2 in the morning, and then my brain is racing with all the things that need to get done. I've actually struggled with insomnia many, many times over my 20, 40-year career, depending on which career we talk about. So I want to really put a check in that, the fact that I'm up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I also have been noticing that I'm tending to wake up with headaches but I think the headaches are related to maybe certain dietary changes that I need to think about. I kind of know probably what it's leading to, but I'm going to actually peel back on some things. Another trend that I notice is that when all these things happen that I told you about in January, like the snow really shouldn't affect what I do because I'm building an online business, right? But just realizing that the news media cycle is caught up in the also the forest fires in California. I spent a lot of time watching the news and learning and being out, really, kind of exasperated and concerned about all the people who were losing basically everything over there. And I often do that. I can get kind of too attached. So that's a trend, again, has happened before. Make a note of it. The another trend that I noticed, and this is on the positive side, is that each of the accountability groups that I'm a part of, and I'm a part of two, really are working well for me. I think it's a really important strategy to be in a group where you might be a person who's kind of behind everybody. I think it's okay to be the person that's getting everything done but the reality is if every group you're in, you're setting the tone or setting the pace, you're not going to be pushed the way you should be pushed. So I'm actually in two accountability groups, and in different ways, both people are groups, but in this case, they're both groups of women. Both groups are people who are brilliant, who are accomplished, who are successful, but are like trying new things, really pushing themselves to get out there and build on their prior success. They're not resting on their laurels. They're really taking the initiative to kind of develop and push themselves in terms of new skills. So I'm so proud of all of us for that in both groups. And so one of the things I'm really happy about is that I made an effort to be active in both groups. And I have been active in both groups, attending meetings, doing, what needs to be done or what I'm asked to do type of thing. One of them is more of a problem solving group where we take a spotlight on each person and kind of help them problem solve the difficulty that they're having. And the other one is more general support. Both groups have intergenerational people, which I really love being a part of that. And I think that reminds me that these groups can be important for inspiration. And so the lesson here for me, or the trend here for me, is that I have to keep surrounding myself with things that are going to inspire me. So that means so the next thing I want to show you is one of the things that was something I accomplished in January was to complete my vision board. So let me go back first, actually, and take this banner off. Then I'm getting a little better at learning how to use StreamYard. So my theme for 2025 was Thrive. My theme for the first quarter is also We Thrive Together, and therefore my theme for January is Thriving. So I do not feel like I'm thriving. Like, is it thriving if, a third of the nights you can't sleep through the night and you're waking up with headaches? That's not a good picture of thriving. So I am continuing to make progress on the podcast. I did 2 podcast interviews in January, have released nary an episode because they need editing. So that's one of the professional goals that I set for myself, that I am learning a new skill. And like every time you have to do the next step, it's like a whole step that you don't really know how to do, that you got to figure out how to do and then do it maybe wrong a couple times before you're happy with it. So that is something that's still going on. But this board really gives me inspiration because it integrates not only what I'm doing with my business, but other professional goals that are really important to me. One of them is role modeling health and wellness. So I have a picture of a dentist chair here. I've got a picture of a Spanish manual here, where I'm going to be going to Panama and Costa Rica to have some dental work. Going to spend a little time on a cruise this year. Lots of travel planning. I want to take a dance class. I want to do another meditation retreat. So this is sort of my inspiration board. And when I look here at these trends and I think about January, the first thing that stands out to me is I wasn't really thriving in January. I wasn't even scheduling things that would help me thrive in January. So today I had a massage. So being aware of this, I'm in Chicago, so my schedule's a little different. My ability to get around is a little bit more flexible. So I just happened to walk by a place that said massages. They have a special on Wednesday for $60. I was like, I'm in. So yesterday I booked it for this morning and I went, and it was really good. So just taking time to do impulsive things that are going to be good for my health is really important. And another thing is I recognize the power of affirmations and the role that affirmations have played in really helping me with my desire to move forward and to stay focused. I've always believed in doing affirmations. I use other affirmation cards that have been published by other resources, as well as writing my own affirmations. So I started working on a second digital product, which is going to be launched during Black History Month, hence the African theme. It's called Thrive, which is my word for the year. And it's basically an affirmation journal. And you'll be hearing more about that once it's actually in the Stand store. So I wanted to share that with you. And then let's go back to these questions. So those are the trends that I noticed that I need to go back to. So my desire to go back and do a deep dive on the affirmations for this month of February meant that I started creating this affirmation journal for myself. And then I was like, oh, this could be this could actually be a digital product. I just need to like build it out more to what I would like. And I always love buying planners, both paper planners like this one. This one is came from TJ Maxx. And Post-it notes. I love these Post-it notes. These came from Amazon, which I personally am not supporting anymore. I don't know if you can see this, Plans for Domination. So I love these. But basically, anything that's going to inspire me and help me to refocus and help me to remember my why and to focus on my why and the legacy that I have. So I also made a list of things that I need to improve or change. And one of them is going back to focus on my main quest for this first quarter, which is physical health. It's not just getting to Costa Rica to do the dental work, which I'm actually about to buy my plane ticket. By the time I see you next Wednesday, my Costa Rica trip will be all planned. I also explored trying this new resource that one of the sisters in my accountability group told me, Focus Mate. If you haven't tried Focus Mate, I highly recommend it. So I tried it twice, and I definitely want to do, I want to pay. So it's at a free level, you get 3 sessions per week. But at a paid level, and it's not very expensive, I want to say it's less than $10 a week. But basically, the way Focus works is you're assigned one partner, and you're randomly matched with someone, and you and they are working on camera, but muted, for either 50 minutes, 75 minutes, or maybe 90 minutes. I haven't done the larger one, whatever the longest time is. And then you tell them what you're working on, and you kind of check in at the end to say, yeah, I got it done, or I didn't get it done. So I've done it twice. Really a powerful tool, especially at the free level. I thought it was very impressive. They'll send you a reminder. You get to set the date. The other thing is co-working sessions. I myself was planning to sponsor co-working sessions, but I feel like there's a lot of people doing co-working sessions right now because it's January. So I'm going to wait and focus on continuing to do like these little meditation shorts for February, but they're going to be themed around obviously Black history and Black legacies and Black pioneers. And then in March, I probably will resume offering some co-working sessions at that point. So those are strategies that are going to cause me to refocus. The other thing that's going to cause me to refocus is going to be hiring a tutor. I have really dipped in my Spanish language learning. I was spending almost an hour a day. I'm now spending more like 15 minutes maybe on Spanish. I'll listen to Spanish music. I'll watch a Spanish video, usually on YouTube with the translation, and then I listen to it without the translation. And when I hear people speaking Spanish, I will respond to them and speak to them in Spanish. I just did that actually in Chicago today. So I was in Target, and someone who was, I guess, a caregiver was speaking Spanish, asking a question in Spanish. And so I was able to help her out. So that was kind of cool that I understood what she needed and was able to respond. She speaks some English too. So I do want to say that the next thing that I did was, when it comes to changing, is I decided to delay or cancel something. There was something I'm working on that I was supposed to launch in February that I was like, nope, you're doing too much. You're going to keep shining and being consistent when it comes to producing content. And you're going to step up your content game and go a little deeper and improve your products even better, and then release them out into the world. And you're going to make sure that what you produce is of the quality of which you're really feeling like you're adding value, and therefore not just doing like a quantity of things. So for me, the third question is, what's my next small step to meet my goals this quarter? And for me, the question, as I said, is to refocus, slow down and refocus. And to quote Rashida Dow, who is, I would say, an online mentor of mine from the Exodus Summit world. Her channel is Sheeta D. She did a YouTube last week that I listened to. I'm so confused because I changed states. I spent Monday flying. It might have been this weekend. It might have been Sunday. I don't remember when it was. But anyway, her last content as of this recording was she had several good tips, but one of the ones that really stayed with me, and I actually wrote them down, was not just slow down, but stop spending your time trying to convince other people of anything, right? Just focus on you. So part of refocusing is going internal and talk to yourself. Talk to people who are going the direction you're going, moving at the speed that you're moving. And she said some other things that I've kind of already touched on that are a part of my platform every week. If you need a coach, you should hire a coach. Get in community with people who are going to push you. Keeping your why front and center was another thing that was on her list that I want to reiterate today. So if I can alter the description, I will actually link her video to this one. And so my next small step forward is to slow down and refocus. And so where am I going to be focusing? So I'm really going to go in, as I just said, and look at the time that I'm spending on content creation and the workflows associated with content creation, and see how can I dial that up again. As I've already alluded to, I'm going to be spending 2 weeks, the end of this quarter in March. I'll be spending 2 weeks in San Jose, Costa Rica, and I'm going to be having dental work done. And therefore there'll be 5 days that could be iffy how much work I'm going to get done. So I want to batch create and front load and front schedule some things before I head to Costa Rica, the early part of March. So learning how to create systems and refine systems is an important part for me of refocusing and making sure that I hit my targets for February, that I can continue to build momentum on the practices that I've already set up. And then I think another thing after where am I refocusing? How am I refocusing? So dedicated time. One of the things that I've benefited from before when I was in a writing group in my career at my institution is by doing writing retreats, writing intensives. And I want to create something that I think I'm going to call it a challenge. It may look a little different than, I guess, other challenges that people are doing. But by the end of February, when I'm done with the digital product creation things that I'm working on, I'm going to focus on actually doing a laser focus. I don't know if it'll be an email challenge, or maybe I'll do a challenge here on YouTube where I'll just live stream every day for that hour. That's the laser focus challenge. And there'll be a whole episode explaining that before it is launched, obviously, and it'll be free. So that is one thing that I wanted to cover. Let's see, what else do I have saved here? Let me go back and look at the comments. So Not All the Things Still With Us says that I have been working on being consistent also with posting. I love your vision board. Offer yourself grace. Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's another area where I feel like we're really hard on ourselves. We are our own worst critics. We're mad because we're not being consistent and not doing all the things. Then we finally do all the things, but then we're mad, not mad, but disappointed because we're like, oh, I coulda, woulda, shoulda done, blah, 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 blah. So keep that in mind. So I already answered these. So coming out of the first key questions, where do you need to refocus? And then how do you need to refocus? So those are things that I'm asking you to consider. So if you're watching this in the replay, please remember to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and please, if this content would be helpful to someone you know, please take the link and share the link with a friend or colleague who would benefit from this type of content, and hit the notification bell. But also tell me in the comments, what are you working on? What do if you clicked on this video, it's because you need to refocus on something, right? So I am trying to further improve my ability to send the right message in my thumbnails. But if you decided to watch this and you're not a subscriber, then there's probably something you need to refocus on. And therefore, I would love it if you tell me what you're going to refocus on and how. And that is one other thing that I wanted to say. I guess I was supposed to put that banner up while I was talking. I think I have a couple other slides I want to show. I showed you the Thrive Journal. I want to remind you that last week I talked about my travel planning for Costa Rica and Panama City, Panama. And so that continues. I have not yet hit the pay button, the pay now button. I'm still looking at flights and tracking costs. But I have a career break travel planner, which is already on my Stand store. So I want to remind you, if that's something that would be helpful to you, go to the Stand store. The other thing that will soon be at the Stand store is the Thrive Affirmation Journal. That's supposed to launch it won't be February 1st because it won't be the weekend, but before next Wednesday, it will be there. As you can see, it has a cover, it has the pages, but I have some other things I want to add to it. The nice thing about digital products is you can print them out. It's a PDF file and put it in a binder of your own, or you can actually upload it to like Adobe and then, write on it in a digital way. And so it's basically stand.store/Dr. Crystal, which is usually my moniker on every platform. And so I think I've covered all of the slides. Thank you so much for coming and listening. I hope this information has been helpful to you. I am really excited about the time that I get to spend here with all of you on YouTube. I feel like even though some weeks we have, people listening in and some weeks not as many, I know that this content is something that would have helped me when I was in this situation of, just being a professional over 40, over 50. I'm over 50. But since I was over 40, I would say a lot of career advice, unfortunately, is heavily slanted, in my opinion. I used to teach a career planning course for undergraduate students, which would have older students in it. And the mindset, it's normalized. We don't need this. But the reality is a lot of reasons why we're not making the money we're making, and the reason we're not thriving in our careers is because we are not often prompted by society to really ask these hard questions and to pivot in a timely manner. We don't have time for this conversation, but one of the things that I watched on the news just a few minutes before I got here was the outcome about the federal employees who are going to get, what are they called? Severance packages, I guess, because they want to decrease the workforce. And I know people who've participated in that. And to some extent, it's a little, if you're not planning or thinking about, well, what would I do when I leave this job? They hand you that money. Next thing you know, the money is gone. And it's just very upsetting and can be a little bit discombobulating, for lack of a better word. I don't know if that is a real word, but it can be very discombobulating, right? To be all of a sudden offered a chance to have a new lease on life and to start over in your career. And you haven't put any time and energy into starting over in your career. So we should always be, two of my favorite mentors one recently, 1 year ago, said this to me: you should always be looking for your next opportunity. Even when you don't want a next opportunity, you should never stop working that muscle of looking for your next opportunity. And I made that mistake in both my careers, in corporate America and in higher education. I just always felt so exhausted and overwhelmed, which is its own video of itself. Why do we allow ourselves to work at such a pace that we would let that happen, that we would get to that point? So let's see, we have another comment. Thank you so much. Thanks for the refocus. I appreciate you. I appreciate you too. Thank you so much for coming. So that's it. That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for coming. And also happy Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, Lunar New Year today. Take care. Bye-bye.